Cathy. That's me. My name is Alma, and I would love it if you could give me some advice on an issue I have with my mother. Well, I'm 20 years old, and for about a year now I've been living with my sister and her family so that my mom can remodel her house, and I didn't want to be in the way. That's what I told her, but I really just didn't want to live with her anymore. About 4 months ago, my sister let it slip to my mom that I wanted to get my own place, and she just left and didn't talk to me for a while. After, she just forgot about it, and she asked me if I was going back home as soon as she got the house remodeled. I told her I would, but the truth is that I don't want to go back. And one day I told her why I didn't want to go back, and it looked like she wanted to cry the day after I told her. I told her I would go back when the house was done. I know I made the mistake of telling her that I would. Now she thinks that I want to go back because for the last couple weeks I've been helping my brother put up drywall, but I'm only doing it because no one else will help him. So I was wondering if you can give me some advice on how to tell my mom that I don't want to go back home and how not to give in even if she looks like she's going to cry.
I wrote to Alma and asked her what the real reason was why she didn't want to go back home, because that felt to me the paramount piece of information that I needed to even begin to think about what advice I might give. Mm-hmm. There's a reason. Is it about you? Is it about your mom? And she wrote back to me that her mom is an addict, and her mom's boyfriend is also an addict, and there's a lot of fighting, and there's a lot of unpredictable behavior, and it's a chaotic situation to live in, and she doesn't want to live in that. But this letter made a whole lot more sense to me when she told me that, because now I get exactly why she doesn't want to live there and how her mom is able to manipulate her into getting what she wants. Addicts are adept at this. They're coming!
There's my ride.
Well, what do you think?
I'll bet that the mother is keeping her around as a support system. Probably the mother has a lot going on, and it sounds like the daughter is very responsible, resourceful. You know, she can do drywall, she can do this and that. So the mother's probably leaning on this daughter quite a bit for stuff, and so when the daughter wants to go, the mother's probably like, no, don't go, stay, whatever. But, there comes a point when you have to, I think, take care of yourself and push someone else into taking care of themselves too.
Yes. Your mom is leaning on you, and you are more of a support system for her than she is for you. Obviously, no addict stuck in a pattern like this can be of much help to anybody. And it's probably a pattern you're used to. Mom gives you the puppy dog eyes and cries, you feel completely guilty, and then you give her what she wants. She might not be consciously thinking through that tool, or she might be. However, it is a tool that is being used on you, and you need to get out of that situation. You need to not live there. I think you know this already, but how can you do it in a way where mom doesn't cry and then keeps you from going back? The only answer to that is you need to accept your own decision, and you need to be willing to allow your mom to have her feelings. Your mom and yourself are both doing one thing. You are both protecting your mother from her own feelings. She's doing it with drugs and alcohol. You're doing it by anytime she shows any signs of having feelings, you hurry up and do whatever it's going to take to make her not have to have those feelings. So you're not actually helping her. She needs to learn how to have her feelings and how to deal with them, and you're not helping her by coming to the rescue and doing whatever it is you need to do to keep her comfortable. It's little band-aids, but in the long run you're harming her more than you're helping her. And you're also harming yourself. So what seems like a good-hearted thing to do is actually not a loving thing to do at all. It's the exact opposite thing to do. Addicts need people to set boundaries with them. If they want help getting clean, we're there. If they want help staying in their pattern, you have to not be there. That's the only way to stop your involvement in the pattern of their addiction. So the only way to do this is to know that your mom is going to have feelings that are uncomfortable for her, and you have to be willing to accept that and be truthful with her. Also, lying to her and telling her that it's for some other reason isn't going to be helpful to either one of you.
It sounds like you may be able to sit down with your brother and sister too and just map out some rules and say, you're going to have to start taking out some of the slack that I've been caring for Mother. You know, if you always buy the groceries, or if you always clean the house, or whatever your duties are, you probably don't want to just, leave your mother, slam the door, and say, you figure it out. You want to help her in a healthy way, and you may want to bring your brother and sister in on this more than they have been, and divide equally among all three of you these supportive things, rather than you having to move in and be the live-in support system for your mom.
Yes. It sounds like maybe your brother and your sister have drawn boundaries with her that you haven't been able to yet, and so a lot has fallen on your plate because you don't want to completely abandon her. But you do need to start putting yourself first while drawing healthy boundaries with your mom. That doesn't necessarily mean you cut her off completely, but like Callie was saying, you have to draw boundaries and say, this is how it's going to be from now on. These are the ways in which I and my brother and sister will be helpful to you, and these are the ways in which we won't because it's harmful to us. Mm-hmm. And it's a difficult conversation to have, but it's absolutely the most necessary one, and it's going to empower you beyond belief.
And I know sometimes when you talk to your parents, however strong or together of a person you are, whatever, a lot of times when we talk to our families, we immediately shrink down to that little 5-year-old girl or kid, and you can't, stand up to your family sometimes as well as you can to anybody else in the outside world. And if that's happening, I would suggest, before you have this talk, watch a movie with a really strong character who you want to be like, or think of a moment in your life where you were really awesome and in control, and try to psych yourself up and remember you're not that little 5-year-old anymore. You're not going to get a whipping or get sent to your room or whatever. You're a grown woman, and your mom's a grown woman, and you have to talk to each other like adults. Don't let that childhood fear hold you back.
That's really good advice. I like that idea.
I feel that when I talk to my mom or dad, or even when I talk to friends from high school now, I shrink back down into the age that I was when I first met them. So I become like this loser dork around my high school friends, and I'm like, oh, why am I being like this? And with my parents, I just cave in or shut down because I feel like I'm going to get in trouble or something. And I'm 21 years old.
There's a term for what you're describing.
What is it?
It's projective identification.
Oh.
And you've probably heard of projection, mm-hmm. where they might not even actively be doing it. It's like, let's say my relationship with Lucia has always been her bullying me. Like let's say she was my sister and we grew up with her always bullying me. And now we're adults and all of that's in the past. She could be very calmly sitting there talking to me about French fries, but I feel bullied because it's this old thing inside me. So it's a combination of an old experience still living inside of you, but also if she's projecting anything that's of that old identity and you take it on, it's projective identification. And we do it a lot with our families and people from when we were young, because those are our formative years, mm-hmm. and that's when those things become, ingrained in our psyches.
Yeah, that kind of stuff can sabotage you making the strong decisions here. So I guess find a way to strengthen and prepare yourself so that doesn't shut you down when you have to do this.
Yeah, and another way of doing that is remember that this is actually the loving thing to do. It can feel really hard when your mom's looking at you and crying and begging you for something else. This is the loving and caring thing to do. Giving in to her would be harmful, not only to her in the long run, but to you in the long run and to your relationship in the long run. So knowing that makes it not the loving thing to do. The loving thing to do is what's best for everyone. So keep that in mind. That'll help empower you through this as well. Okay, groovy.